Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin, and today is a very, very special episode, a whole new chapter for the podcast going forward. We have a new co host, somebody who's been on the show multiple times. I've been on his show multiple times. So, this episode is all about him and what's going to be happening going forward with the podcast. So, I'm going to let him take it away for a few minutes to go ahead and talk away.
What's going on, guys? It's Dustin, another Dustin. For people who don't know me, I run the Flicks and Friends podcast. I'm also a part of the B Action podcast. So when Dustin reached out to me a couple nights ago, I was super stoked. And I couldn't not say yes. I had to. I had to do this because I love Dustin. I love his show. And I'm here for the support. So yeah, that's who I am. Where you guys are about to experience a Dustin sandwich moving forward.
Yes, double D's.
Double D's, baby.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited. For those of you who know the history of this podcast, it all started with my friend Aaron. As my original co-host, he would come over because we live in the same neighborhood. He'd be here next to me, do it all in person. And then, his personal career outside of all this started getting really big, so he had to step away, and then I was doing it solo for a little bit, and then I reached out to my good friend, the Englishman, Dean of the Dead over in the UK, and he, kind of sat in for quite a while, and we would talk about horror and all that other stuff, and he brought in a lot of his influences, talking about how horror is over in the UK, and then his business started getting really big. So he stepped back for a while, and for the last, few months, I want to say, or maybe even longer than that, I've just been kind of doing things solo. And, there's a point when you're doing things solo, it feels weird, or it feels kind of lifeless, is how it was feeling for me anyway. And, I was still doing shows. They were shorter, much, much shorter, just because it's so hard for me, personally, to have an episode or a review, unless it's like an interview, for me to go and carry it for a long time. So I was like, you know what? We need to change something up here. I have a few friends I want to reach out to, see who would want to come in and kind of be the new co-host. And, the first person I wanted to ask before I reached out to anybody else was Dustin, because every time we would chat on his show or he'd be over here, it was super duper fun. And I mean, you don't really have a lot of podcasts out there with two Dustins hosting it, do we?
I think in my entire life, I have only known 4 Dustins, not including me.
I've known...
We're half of that now.
I've known none until you. The closest I've had to me was someone named Destin with an E.
Yep, I know Destins, I know Justins, I know Ons. I can't go anywhere to Justin. But yeah, no, I'm stoked, dude. This is gonna be a ton of fun. It's gonna be a new chapter for both of us. Yeah, no, I'm really stoked for the journey we're about to take.
Hell yeah. And as everybody knows, Dustin, with his podcast, they're kind of more variety than anything other than like his action one, which is, obviously geared towards action movies. This podcast, for anybody who has been listening or just tuning in now, is pretty much primarily horror. I don't know if you can tell from my background. It's a little dark right now because I have a new camera, but this is my horror outlet. I've loved horror for a long, long time. And then I started breaking out of my shell. I've told the story so many times, but not until I was about like 13 is when I really started diving into it. So I'm really, really excited to show you films maybe you've never seen, or for you to show me films that maybe I've never seen. But before we can do that, we need to dive down and see what our top 5 are. I've done this before with Dean, but there's something I need to change in it.
Okay.
So I'm here to re-establish my top 5. But I want to hear from you first. What are your top 5 horror films?
do we want to back and forth it? Like I say 5, you say 5, I say 4, you say 4, or do you just want me to go through my list?
Just shotgun it, man. Tell me all of it.
All right. All right, man. So I love werewolves a lot. Like I prefer werewolves over vampires. And Silver Bullet is my favorite. Oh, look at that wolf, man.
Gotta have him on the
Oh
desk
yeah.
now.
No, I love the idea of a mindless beast over a suave man any day.
Hell yeah.
But Silver Bullet has been a huge part of my life. Growing up, that was probably the werewolf movie I remembered the most. It's got Gary Busey in it. It's got Corey Haim. It's a fucking banger, dude.
Stephen King,
Yeah, dude, it's so good. And then actually another one of my favorites, my number 4. I've actually been on this show to talk about it, and that is Clive Barker's Nightbreed. Nightbreed is the movie that got me into horror. So I'll always champion that movie. I will talk about it any chance I get to. It's pretty much Clive Barker's X-Men, which is pretty rad. So
yeah,
it's some good shit, man. Dustin knows this all too well. I love anthologies. Anthologies is my favorite type of horror movie. And I can't not have a top 5 list without Creepshow on it.
Hell yeah, man.
So Creepshow is just the king of anthologies, literally, figuratively, and Stephen King.
Yeah, dude. George Romero, everybody. It's a pot of goodness.
Oh, so good. So good. But my number 2 movie has been in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. And that is my gateway horror, and it's The Monster Squad.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I'll sit here and talk all day about it. It's so good. The documentary Wolfman's Got Nards is really good.
Mm-hmm.
The 4K transfer is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very beautiful transfer. But my number 1 favorite horror movie, and it's my most recommended movie, like when I worked at the movie store, is Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Oh yes, that's the one that people do not bring up that often. And when I first saw that film, I'm like, what is this? I love it. It's weird. It's my first introduction to mockumentary horror movies, and it's great.
Yeah. That was the first episode I was ever on Dissect That Film with, because Parker let me pick the movie. And I was like, have you guys seen Behind the Mask? And they're like, no. I'm like, that's what I want to pick.
Hell yeah. That's solid list, man. Wow.
It's hard though, because horror, I'll watch any type of horror, dude. And asking me to make a top 5, this could change tonight. Hey. I mean, it's just, horror's where it's at. I love being spooked. It's a good time.
Yes, it is. And it's the only genre of film, in my opinion, but it's kind of, been bringing out with a lot of other people saying the same thing. It's the most expressive. I think you can do so much in this. Some people say, well, action adventure is very expressive too. It is to an extent. Because if you go too far, or if you add something to it, it could turn into horror. It could turn into a straight drama. It really depends on what's going on. But horror, especially the last few years, is really starting to show the companies, the public, that there's a lot you can do.
It's had a resurgence.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's had a resurgence, especially with the indie horror. We've gotten the big blockbuster Blumhouse stuff, and that does not do good. But this year, for example, we had Longlegs, Oddity. We were just talking about Cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the horror community is eating well this year.
Yes, more so than last year, and last year was pretty packed.
Yeah.
But it's just going to keep growing.
Talk to me.
Talk to me. No, I told myself when it goes to streaming, it's been on streaming, I was going to go watch it again, and I've had no urge. Mm-hmm. I think after seeing it in the theater, I was like, no, I kind of liked it, but then I was talking to you about it, and then I was rethinking about it. I'm just like, is it that interesting? Not really.
No.
No.
But what about you, man? What's your top 5 favorite horror movies?
All right, so I'm going to tell you the top 5 I had originally, and then I'm going to flip something that I
Okay.
recently, well, not recently, but I refound my love for it. All right, so number 5.
Okay.
I love, and when I was doing these, I was kind of putting them in a category of like a specific horror subgenre. So number 5 was my
Sure.
creature feature, which was Pumpkinhead. Love Pumpkinhead. I think it's such a great film. The effects in it are amazing. There's rumors of a remake, which I hope that doesn't happen. But there was,
Give it to Fede Alvarez.
yeah. Was it last year? Last year was the 4K release of it. Or was it this year? I think it was last year, right?
I'm pretty sure it was last year because they did a 4K and then they did the Shop Factory did the Steelbook.
Yeah, so I think it was last year. And then number 4 is my horror comedy spot, which this is going to be flipping. But it was originally Evil Dead 2. That one is quintessential. You can't not have that, like, somewhere at least in your top 10s of favorite horror movies, because it just influenced so many things. It showed really what Sam and Bruce could really do, and obviously everybody else in the background. And then number 3, I don't remember what category I put this in. I think it was something to do with religion, because it kind of talks about that. It is a Shudder original called Revealer. Love that so much. I have the poster right here. I've had pretty much the whole cast and crew on talking about that film. I recently brought out one of the editors to show his film, Black Mold, John Pata, who was also part of Revealer. And then number 2, this is never not going to be in my top 5. This is my foreign favorite horror film, and it's Suspiria, the original.
Okay.
The 70 original. The reason why, and some people say, well, you don't like the new one. I'm like, I do, but not as much as this, because there's a sentimental value to it. I first saw this in a packed theater with my friend Aaron at a horror fest, and it blew me away. I didn't know anything about the film, like, at all, other than what was on the sheet for the fest, because they told you like a synopsis of all the films that were showing, and the colors, the music, it being Italian, because I'm a stickler and love Italian films, especially anything giallo. And this, it's debatable if it's giallo or not, but it's fun.
It has enough flavors of giallo.
Yes, I mean, it's a Dario Argento film, so. And then
I'm not gonna argue with him.
yeah, for sure. And this will never not be my number 1. Like, never, ever. I don't think anything will ever replace the feelings I've had towards this film and how it transitioned me to being a fan of horror and kind of overcoming my fears with the genre and just scary things in life. And as Halloween 1978. Never not going to be number 1. There's just so much behind that film that really made me who I am today as a moviegoer, as someone who, watches films and how I feel about them. Scared the hell out of me so much, and I've watched it a lot when I was younger, knowing it was going to scare me, and now I embrace it, and now I have, like, 3 Michael heads over here.
Yeah.
So it's great, and my son, who loves horror but doesn't like watching movies, but he likes watching the effects and people on YouTube make them, and he loves Michael Myers, and he has a Michael Myers outfit himself. It's great. But here, I'm going to revise my number 4 spot, which was Evil Dead 2, to Aliens. I love Aliens. I rewatched it.
That's
Go ahead.
That's one of those you were talking about earlier, like the thin line of blending, because that's straight up an action movie.
Yeah.
But there are horror elements in it that make it so good. And of course it's fucking James Cameron, like the king of sequels.
Yeah.
Just doing what he does, man. But Aliens, I prefer Aliens over Alien.
Same. I used to have it the other way, but I find myself always going back and watching Aliens more than Alien. Yeah, it's great. It's a great film.
I'm more of a Predator fan though. Like I prefer Predator over Alien.
Yeah.
I love, but both of the creature designs are fucking fantastic. Especially like I made the joke earlier about giving Fede Alvarez the remake of Pumpkinhead, but I can't wait for Alien Romulus, seeing everything he's done so far.
Yeah.
So
and practical effects. He's been posting all the practical aliens and stuff that he was using. I'm like, thank God, because the last few movies have all been CGI.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like for Alien, I don't mind that too much because they are, brittle, they're thin. Seeing a person in a suit kind of takes the illusion. That's why Predator works so well for me. Because he's a huge fucking monster. But the aliens are more parasites, so but seeing today when he posted that video of the xenomorph jumping and the innards without the skin on and with the skin on, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I cannot wait for that.
It's insane. And I've been
gonna be so good.
Trying to stay away from spoilers on all of the social media. I think I have Alien and Romulus and Aliens blocked, so that way I don't see anything other than like what he's been posting. Because I follow his page, I'm like, I need to see if he's doing some kind of behind the scenes stuff, which he was, and that's amazing. But yeah, it's just a great time to be a horror fan or just a moviegoer in general. There's a lot out there, even though it seems like horror is really dominating the space, because let's be real, it is. But there's a lot of stuff out there for other people too. But I think it's now such a important part, not even just like a society, but as people who like going to see films, that you need to give horror a chance. Because for so long there was a stigma of like, if you watch horror films, I'm not going to listen to any of your takes on any films that you watch because you are degenerate. Which no, some of us are.
You fucking hoodlum.
Yeah, some of us are, and that's okay. But I'm happy to see that there are even people who attend the Oscars that say, "Wow, horror is great." That they now sort of acknowledge it more. Like the famous thing way back was Silence of the Lambs, of them saying, "Oh, we have to say it's a thriller, so that way we're not giving a horror film Academy Awards and shit like that," which is BS. Nowadays, let's give the horror films some attention.
I also think the genre has changed too, and I joked about it earlier, but that really is A24's fault. With A24 putting out the movies that they've put out, the casual moviegoer that doesn't necessarily love blood and gore but does like to be suspenseful, like Midsommar is a good one for them, and Talk to Me, a lot of people like that one, but like going back to Alien Romulus, like the game has changed, and I feel society needs to catch up now, because horror has stepped up and stopped being the back runner. The Academy Board just started acknowledging stunt work, which is fantastic because they needed to, and it's only going to be a matter of time before they start acknowledging, practical effects instead of just CGI wash shit, or these directors like Fede Alvarez that not only is he making a horror movie, he's making a really good movie.
Yes, and it's been taking him a while to get it done too, which shows that he's putting the time in. A lot of people just pump these things out, especially with the Alien franchise, because there's been a lot of not good ones, especially the last
they're called pump and dumps, baby.
That's so true. Oh man, but I'm excited for horror. I'm excited for this. This is great. Like the amount of things that we're going to be talking about and doing and showing is gonna be crazy. And I'm so happy that you want to be here doing it with me. I couldn't ask anybody else. Like, I know absolutely. I said I had some other people, but the bottom line is you were the one that was in my head from day one of me thinking of this. I'm like, if I don't ask Dustin, or if Dustin shuts me down, I'm going to go cry. And I'm going to end my podcast.
No! I would never do that, man. I'm absolutely stoked. I'm honored, to be honest. Really stoked. I'm really stoked to see what we're going to do with this moving forward.
Yes, I have big plans of things that I want us to do. There's also going to be some things that you're probably not going to be used to doing on here, which is fine. I'm gonna put you through the ringer a little bit. Not really.
I'm a professional, kinda. I do my own stunts, damn it.
But I have a few things in the pipeline, and I guess I can say it here now officially, since the article has been out. But I am essentially part of the Spookies 2 announcement that came out, and I'm on the board with that being made with Frank Farrell. And
hell yeah, man.
I'm super stoked for that. There is going to be a full video coming out of me sitting there with Frank talking about it. I'm just waiting for the event that I was at to hand me over the files from them editing it. And that will be up as a podcast episode for everybody on YouTube, audio, and all that good stuff. But there's a lot of things that are happening in my life that I never, ever thought would happen. And being part of a film, especially being part of a film that has such a big cult following ever since the Vinegar Syndrome release of Spookies. And also this show. It's been through a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of me taking breaks and trying to really figure out what I want to do. And that's been me the past 6 months, really of being like, what do I want to do? There was a time I was losing motivation, and I think it was showing with me not posting as much, and it sucked. Also, with the amount of hours I'm working with my actual job and balancing a family life with my son, and trying to make it all work. And it really was me being here by myself. It felt depressing, not being able to talk to somebody else or bounce off of them and hear what their thoughts are on things. And I'm like, this movie's good, you guys should go watch it. But now I got my other half over here, literally, because his name is Dustin as well.
That's it.
Over here, now giving me more motivation than I think I've had in the last 6 months, like I'm saying. And to have somebody human talk to me. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for everybody who's been sticking around, who still is on Patreon supporting me. I know I've been lacking on that a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of cool things that I'm going to be going over with Dustin to see if he wants to do any of that, and just try to beef things up around here. We need more content, god damn it. Even though there's content everywhere, but we need more content. My content brain needs to come back.
I got you, man. I can help with that.
Hell yeah. But yeah, this is a great time, and once again, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
Oh, of course. It is my pleasure. It's an honor. Like I said earlier, it's an honor that you even thought to ask me. So.
Hell yeah. But I think that's pretty much all that we have for this one. I hope this introduction was good. You guys are happy, excited, because I am. My heart's beating real fast from the excitement.
Dude, I was anxious earlier. Like when you made the post, I looked at my wife. I'm like, why am I anxious?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And another thing. Go ahead.
If you guys at home wanted to play along, like when Dustin posts this, on any of the socials, tell us what your top 5 favorite horror movies are.
Yes.
We'd love to talk to you about them.
Hell yeah, man. I'm always intrigued to see what other people put. Sometimes you have those people who just put like shit tier films just to put shit tier films, and those are funny. Please do that. I want to read those.
My favorite movie is a Serbian film.
Oh, it's actually all of my top 5.
All 5 of my favorite movies.
Oh man.
Hard pass on a Serbian film.
Yeah, I watched it once I don't think I
You are a
watched the
braver man
whole
than me.
thing, but I was just like, it's not for me, man. Not for me.
Yep. Let me go put Shrek on instead.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Shrek 2. Shrek 2 rocks.
Yeah, the best one. Yeah.
Yeah, it rocks. And that soundtrack is great.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that I'm really happy with having you here is I can now start reaching out for interviews. I had to stop doing interviews by myself because I was doing them solo for a while because my anxiety was just going through the roof. And, having somebody on and talking about their movies or something that they were acting in, it's a lot of pressure. A lot of people, they think it's not, like, there's not a lot that goes into it, but I always try to make it as smooth, genuine, and as raw as I possibly could for all those interviews. And I've had a lot of people come and say, great job, that was an amazing interview, I can't believe you got that person. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe we got that person either, whoever person they're talking about. But to be here with somebody else, I'm happy to now pursue those things because there were a few I passed on that I might be able to go back and reach back out and be like, hey, let's do it.
I'm down.
But it's gonna be slow, but it's gonna be fast at the same time, if you know what I mean.
We're gonna pick. I don't want to say slack, but we're gonna pick up where you left off.
Hell yeah, dude.
With the momentum you had before you felt like
hell yeah.
You felt like you just expressed.
Yeah.
So we will make that happen for you.
And last year was a real busy year. So many interviews. I think I was posting at least once or twice a week. In the beginning of this year, I was doing that, and then obviously it slowed down, and now we're here, and let's just get back on that train, dude. Let's fucking pump. No dumping, just pump. Don't stop. Just keep pumping. Keep pumping.
Okay.
Keep pumping.
Okay. Pump up the jam.
Yeah, dude. But hell yeah. I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked. Is there any last things that you want to say before we cut this one off?
Nothing. We touched on everything I felt like we were going to touch on with this introduction. And then, like I said, we're just going to pick up the momentum.
Hell yeah, man. So yeah, in the comments below, wherever you're listening to this on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere else you get your podcast, Patreon. This might be, I should probably put this on Patreon. I might do it as a free one for everybody. Yeah. But let us know what your top 5 are, how stoked you are. Are you excited to see this Dustin sandwich go forward? Because I am.
That's it. Yeah. I'm ready.
Hell yeah.
Sandwich, baby.
Hell yeah. But that's all we got for this one, guys. So stay tuned for some awesomeness. Once again, I was your host, Dustin.
And I'm Dustin.
Yes. And we will see you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.